Hi everyone, and welcome to another Future of Design Forum 10-minute fireside Q&A session hosted by myself, Andy Smith of TDA Creative, the design, tech and product talent agency. I am super delighted today to be joined by Richard Dalton, who is currently the head of design of Verizon in New York, looking after a 600 plus global design team, and was previously head of design at Capital One. Richard, thank you for joining me. Much appreciated.
You're welcome, Andy. Thanks for inviting me. Great to be here.
Looking forward to the chat. Let's start. Would you mind just giving us a little lowdown of your, career journey to date, design leadership to the amazing place where you are now?
Yeah, sure. I'll work from where I am backwards. So I've been at Verizon for about 5 years now, which is crazy. I joined just before the pandemic. Weird to think that that's now almost 5 years ago. Prior to that, as you mentioned, I was at Capital One, where I led design for about 4 years. Prior to that, I was at USAA down in San Antonio, Texas, where we provided services for the US military and veterans across financial services. I was at Vanguard before that, just outside of Philadelphia. So many companies beginning with the word V, right? Mutual fund investments. And then prior to that, I was over in the UK, where I'm from. So I led a couple of startups in the kind of early internet space in the north of England in Newcastle. So Brilliant. That's my journey to date.
Fantastic. And obviously you mentioned many companies there, financial services most of the way until Verizon.
That's right. That's right. And then when I joined Verizon, one of the first things I helped to do was design and launch our credit card. So I couldn't get away from financial services even here.
There you go. It followed you. It followed you. Brilliant. Okay. And look, obviously in terms of design leadership, there's not much more pedigree than what you are doing and have done. But what is it that you most kind of enjoy about and kind of keeps you up every day about design leadership?
I think that what really gets me going is using my kind of design background to solve organizational problems, right? I still design things even in the role I have now. It's just I'm not designing screens and interactions for users and customers. I'm designing organization structures. I'm designing process. I'm designing culture, and so what I enjoy most is kind of creating that infrastructure and culture to really empower the teams to do their best work, right? I love helping people grow professionally, personally, providing them with challenges that they can get their teeth into. I also think that one of the unique things that happens as you have a larger team is that you become a connector of things. You get to see the breadth of what the organization is doing, and being able to connect people to different people that are doing similar things in the organization or different initiatives, or because you have that breadth. And I've always been somewhat of a kind of information architect at heart, thinking about how things and people connect. So that's really empowering for me and enjoyable.
Brilliant. Okay. And when we're talking about enjoyable, then what's giving you the most satisfaction? What are you most proud of so far in your career?
I mean, I think it follows on some of the teams that I've built, right? I feel like I've always left the team in better shape than when I started at those organizations that I mentioned. I feel like pretty proud of the people that I've helped advocate for and helped to develop, many of whom are now leading huge teams of their own at really great organizations. The cultures that I've helped to create. In particular, I championed a personal development program while at Capital One for hundreds or thousands of employees, to really help people understand how they themselves worked, right? Not just as employees, but as human beings, as people. And honestly, I had dozens and dozens of people in this program saying that it was life-changing for them, right? Outside of work even, right? They helped them become a better, parent, better friend, better partner, better spouse. And so that's something that I'm really proud of.
And was that beyond your design team that you rolled out?
We did that with the design team. We did that with our product partners. We did that with our engineering technical partners. Wow. And it was a big investment to really help people collaborate better and work more fluidly together. But as I say, it had far-reaching benefits beyond work as well.
That's brilliant. No wonder you're very satisfied by that. And The next question I ask about, I don't like that question, how to get design to the top table, but any tips for design leaders on how to elevate and where to place design within an organization?
Yeah, I think that really understanding how to frame the value of design within the context of the things the organization itself cares about, which will be different organization to organization, right? Some organizations care most about revenue or efficiency or brand or loyalty, but whatever it is the organization really prioritizes and cares about, understanding how to connect the activities from a design perspective to those outcomes, speaking that language, right? Really trying to understand how the design team can be a team player, rowing in the same direction as everybody else on the boat and contributing there. Making sure that design is not seen as separate or a special or prima donnas or any of the more negative things sometimes that design can be perceived as. I think it's important to make design part of that team and to really speak the language of the business.
And working out the language of the business in order to do that, how difficult is that? Is that quite obvious when you walk into some organizations, or can that take some time?
It's funny you should say that. I think it takes a while. It really takes some uncovering, because I think there can be layers sometimes, right? Like an organization can look like it cares about one thing, but really that, when you peel back the layers of the onion, what the organization really cares about is something else. And even that, what it really cares about is something else. And so it can take a little bit of investigation to do that. I think that's where relationship building comes in for any design leader within the organization, right? Being sure that as a design leader, you're connecting horizontally to your product management, your business peers, your finance peers, your HR, obviously engineering, every aspect of the business really, and to understand it in a very rounded way. Right, that can take a lot of work.
Yeah, okay, and a lot of skill as well, no doubt, and experience. And I guess this question kind of leads on a little bit as well. What are your thoughts on? I'm sure you've seen. What are your thoughts on centralized v decentralized design? I'm sure you've done both. You've built a centralized and had to decentralize. What are your thoughts around that? The kind of pros and cons, I guess.
Yeah, I've experienced all of that really. I've experienced living in a decentralized. I've experienced living in centralized, and I've experienced the transition from one to the other in both directions over the course of the last 25 years. I think each organization is different. Organizations tend to proceed along the kind of product or design maturity curve at different rates, and I think that different org structures are appropriate for different moments in time. In fact, one of my colleagues at USAA many years ago, in my first few weeks, described his theory of how organizations operate like a squid, kind of, or an octopus, like propelling them, contracting and expanding and propelling themselves through the water kind of thing over time, which I think is a kind of an apt, if somewhat weird metaphor. But having said that, I am a big fan of what Peter Merholtz would call a centralized partnership, right? Okay. Where design team is centralized from a reporting relationship perspective, but significant parts of it are embedded, right, into different business units or different lines of business or different teams with their product and engineering partners. Okay. I think the interesting thing there as well is how you fund that. So I think that, having a funding model whereby some of the design team is funded kind of centrally to provide some infrastructure, but then the separate teams are funded by the business units that they're embedded within. Yeah. Gives some kind of skin in the game, right, to those business units. gives them a sense of ownership. And I think in many cases, you can get the best of both worlds in terms of a centralized design culture, right? Career progression, and the type of support systems that you need, while, allowing those teams to spend 90-95% of their time with their business partners working on specific business problems. So I think that, for me, is of all the models, probably the one that has the most applicability across different organizations.
Yeah, takes some working out, but sounds like makes sense. I mean, obviously it allows your designers to really get embedded on a product or end-to-end product, and have that journey. But I guess at the same time, perhaps after 2 or 3 years, in terms of their development, there's a chance to move to other projects, other teams.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you for that. Well, look, it's some fantastic information there. Thanks so much. And outside of work, anything you'd like to tell us that maybe few people know about you, Richard?
Let's see. Well, I was going to say that, I'm a big fan of karaoke, but actually I don't think that's a secret or something that people would be surprised about. I'm pretty pumped about that. I'm a huge Formula One fan, as are my 3 kids. We went to Silverstone this year, and we're going next year in the UK. Probably the least people know is that I used to play fairly competitive table tennis throughout my life. I've won competitions.
Great game.
And I don't play so much these days, but whenever I pick up a racket, I enjoy it. So yeah, that's the thing that probably is maybe most surprising.
It's a fantastic, I say game, sport, isn't it? Certainly a very good Olympic sport as well.
I was watching a lot of it during the Olympics recently, yeah.
Pretty amazing, isn't it, to watch those guys and girls play? It's phenomenal.
It's incredible, yeah.
Well, we'll have to have a game when we next see each other.
I will hold you to that.
I'll be a little bit rusty. It takes a bit of time to get going again, as you probably well know, but that'll be great.
Yeah.
Well, Richard, thank you so much for joining me. Thanks for the great content. And certainly, I think there's some really interesting. Certainly, I love what you spoke about, the decentralized, re-centralized, but that kind of slightly hybrid model as well. So it's been brilliant to have you. I look forward to seeing you again in future TDA events, and I'm sure the audience do too.
Thanks, Andy.
Cheers, Richard. Bye-bye for now.